There are several exceptions to the requirement of you including canceled debt in income. These exceptions apply before exclusions. These exceptions exclude canceled debt from your income, and these exceptions don't require you to reduce your tax attributes. In most cases, you don't have income from canceled debt if the debt is canceled as a gift, bequest, devise, or inheritance. So, exception to canceled debts applies, and you don't include in your gross income. Otherwise, if certain qualified student loans canceled due to meeting work requirement, and if you have student loans, generally you are responsible for making loan payments, and the loan is canceled or repaid by someone else, you must include the amount that was canceled, or paid on your behalf, in your income for tax purposes. However, in certain circumstances, you may be able to exclude the loan from your gross income. If whole or part of the student was canceled due to meeting certain requirement, you may not have to include the canceled debt in your income. To qualify for this work-related exclusion, your loan must have been made by a qualified lender. Qualified lenders include the United States or an instrumentality or agency thereof, a state or territory of United States, or the District of Columbia, or any political subdivision thereof, a public benefit corporation, that is tax-exempt under Section 501(c)(3), and that has assumed control of a state, county, or municipal hospital and whose employees are considered public employees under state law. These qualified lenders assist you in attending an eligible education organization. In addition, the cancellation must be pursuant to a provision in the student loan that all or part of the debt will be canceled if you work certain period of time in certain profession for any of a broad class of employer. The cancellation of loan would not qualify for tax-free treatment if it was made by an educational organization or tax-exempt Section 501(c)(3) organization and canceled because of the services performed for either organization. If these conditions apply, then exception to canceled debt applies and you don't include it in your gross income. Were the canceled debt a certain student loan repayment assistance programs? Student Loans Repayment Assistance Program is tax-free if you receive them for any of the following: National Health Services Corps, NHSC. State Education Loan Repayment Program eligible for funds under the Public Health Service Act. Any other state loan repayment or loan forgiveness program that is intended to provide for the increased availability of health services in underserved or health professional shortage area, as determined by such state. If these conditions applies, then exception to canceled debts applies, and you don't include it in your gross income. Were the student's loans discharged after December 31st, 2020, and before January 1st, 2026? The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 modified the treatment of student loans forgiveness for discharges in 2021 through 2025. Generally, if you are responsible for making loan payments, and the loan is canceled or repaid by someone else, you must include the amount that was canceled or paid on your behalf in your gross income for tax purposes. However, in certain circumstances, you may be able to exclude this amount from gross income if the loan was either for post-secondary educational expense or a loan from an educational organization. The educational organization primary function is the presentation of formal instruction, and it normally maintains a regular faculty and curriculum, and normally has a regularly enrolled body of pupils, or student attendance at the place, where its educational activities are regularly carried on. It includes primary, secondary, preparatory, or high school and colleges and universities. It includes federal, state, and other public supported schools, which otherwise come within the definition. It does not include organizations engaged in both educational and non-educational activities unless the latter are merely incidental to the educational activities. If these conditions apply, then exception to canceled debts applies, and you don't include it in your gross income. If these conditions do not apply, would the amounts of canceled debt be tax deductible if you as cash basis taxpayer paid it? You don't realize income from cancellation of debt if payment of the debt would have been a deduction expense. This exception applies before the price reduction exception. If that is the case, then exception to cancel debts applies, and you don't include it in your gross income. Was a qualified purchase price reduction given by the seller of property to you as the buyer? If debt you owe to the seller of the purchase of property is reduced by seller at the time when you aren't insolvent, and reduction does not occur in a Title 11 bankruptcy case, the reduction does not result in cancellation of debt income. However, you must reduce your basis in the property by the amount of the reduction of your debt to the seller. If this condition applies, then exception to cancel debts applies, and you don't include it in your gross income. If these conditions do not apply, then were any amount discharged from certain federal private or educational student loans? If so, then the exception to cancel debts applies, and you don't include in your gross income. Otherwise, exception to canceled debt does not apply, and you must include canceled debt in your gross income.